Okay, this is a little video of some clips that I've merged together of the Ranger Solo Stove, and I purchased a lid from Tim Spake, and I will provide a link to his website so you can see his company, although I haven't been able to find a link on his website for the lid, but you could probably just contact him in the from the website about the lid. But it's stainless steel. It has a nice handle. It fits perfect with a little tolerance, which is needed, about a 1/4 inch total, and it's excellent. But I am showing you what not to do, just because I'm a little bit of a pyro. But I believe that the lid is intended to just be placed on top of the stove when the stove is cold and not in use, to protect it from the elements. But as you'll see in the video, I use it kind of to experiment with how it might dampen or damper the flame, and already knowing that it's not going to put the fire out entirely, but this is just some of the stuff that happened in the process, so it's kind of some neat flames and things will happen. So hope you enjoy. Also, I should probably give a disclaimer. Do not do this at home. Things are always dangerous. Okay, this is Tim Spake's lid. It's not a damper or an extinguisher, because we got flames coming out the side. And now the lid is awesome. It really is. And it's creating quite the effect. But we had a tall flame. This is the Ranger. We had a tall flame, about 4 feet tall. And I'll tell you, this Tim Spake's lid is awesome. It's a perfect lid. But if you're thinking you want a lid, I mean, I've actually used one of those upside down fire pits for my Yukon that so many people have talked about. Those will not extinguish the fire. I had one, I put it over the fire just to see what would happen, and I left it for 2 days, and the fire stayed hot for 2 days. And on the 3rd day, I stoked it back up and had a fire. So I think the lid is awesome just for protecting it from the elements, keeping water out and all that. But if you're planning to extinguish the flame, it's not going to do it. I would say if your flame was down and you just had hot coals in there, that putting the lid on would be, look at that circle around. It's like the Knight Rider. The White House. Let's see if I can get it back in. So those are the bottom holes on the stove. It's just kind of, that's interesting. So 3 days later, I fired up the stove again. I think this is definitely slowing down the fire. So I think that if someone is leaving in an emergency and you had a full flame, I wouldn't trust that the lid would make it safe. But I think if you were down to coals and you were to cover it up, and not, like, say you don't want to wait till midnight or whenever, when the fire finally dies out, to leave it unattended, I think this kind of makes it a little safer. The spark arrestor would help too, but okay, so I guess it more or less snuffed it out. But if I give this a little TLC, it's actually starting up on its own. So I guess it's if you're not going to leave it unattended and you want to endure it dying out, I guess this would work. Tim Spake's lid, but and I'm not intending to give a review on the lid. It fits the Ranger. There's a little tolerances, which is important for there to be some tolerance. Maybe about a 1/4 inch or something like that. But it's well built. It looks nice. And we're watching the fire stoke itself back up. So, anyways, we've got 5 minutes into this restoking itself, and we've got a full flame and a secondary burn. So Tim Spake's lid will definitely retard the flame, but it's not going to completely cool it off and extinguish it. It's definitely wise to still make sure it's safe if you're going to leave it unattended. But I don't know. I think that it created it kind of, the burn and everything kind of was creating lump coal, because when I took the lid off, everything was completely black. And that might sound, duh, it was a fire and it was on fire. But a lot of times you'll have wood that's, still not really burnt. Man, it's almost like it came back even more hot. Okay guys, watch this. This is a Ranger solo stove, and I've got Tim Spake's lid, which is an awesome lid, by the way. What do you expect the lid to do? Snuff out the stove? Maybe. But then again, maybe not. It looks like it's working. I mean, it's creating a lot of smoke, but... There. It self-ignites. All those gases. So kind of watch at the bottom. They kind of dance around like the Night Rider. Move that on this side. So if you're in a rush and you need to snuff out the fire, you don't do this, because it may cause a problem. I think that if you're down to the coals, you're probably good to put this on it and it'll be safe. But I believe this is intended to be a lid to protect it from the elements when it's not in use. And it's an attractive lid. It's a very nice lid. Tim Spake does a great job. But this is what happens when you put it on with a full flame. And we're just kind of messing around. And I'd probably never do this. But I think if you were wanting to snuff it out, you'd have to close off those lower holes, because it's drawing in oxygen and whatever. But
which does give another element to its how it works, burning the...
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke coming off this, by the way.
And you get the backdraft effect when you pick up the lid.
It'd be interesting to see inside of it when it's doing this. Look at those two little guys. 3 of them now. 4 and 5 of them. So kind of fun. Here, this is what it's like when you take the lid off. It's super hot. I've got these heavy gloves on. For all you pyros out there. And then we're just gonna sit here and watch it, and it will completely build back up to the flame we had before. So it does definitely retard, slow down the flame. But as far, I don't know. I don't think you should rely on this lid or any lid. I've used, the upside down fire pit for the Yukon that a lot of people talk about. I've used that and learned that it does not snuff it out. So any lid isn't going to work to snuff out the fire. It's definitely going to slow it down, deprive it of oxygen, but not entirely. With my Yukon and that upside down bowl-shaped fire pit, I left it for 2 days and came back. The first night I came back, it was still hot. The second night I came back, it was still hot and raining. And the third night I soaked it back up. I had a ton of just really good hot coals in there. So lid is not going to extinguish it and make it safe. I mean, it was obviously safer than just leaving it open. But I guess I'm just begging the question, what's the purpose of the lid? And my assumption is it's just to protect it from the elements when it's not in use. That's my my final conclusive statement.